Hello everyone, welcome to CFD 575. This course is called Public Policy and Ethics with Children and Families. My name is Dr. Sasha Longstreth and I will be your instructor for this course this semester. I'm looking forward to a great semester. We have a lot of interesting work ahead of us, which I'll be telling you more about today. To get us started, I want to tell you a little bit about myself. I am an associate professor here in the Department of Child and Family Development at San Diego State University. I began my career as a preschool teacher, and I've since had extensive experience in a variety of educational settings, including elementary schools and after-school programs. I stay current in the field in terms of my practice by consulting with interdisciplinary teams at WestEd, the YMCA, Head Start, and Polinsky Children's Center, and specifically my work involves developing culturally sensitive prevention and intervention programs for young children who are at risk. My research, which you will hear more about over the course of this semester, focuses specifically on understanding teachers' beliefs and practices about discipline. I'm engaged in a number of policy initiatives that are aimed at raising awareness about issues such as expulsion, suspension, and other exclusionary discipline practices in school settings. And I'm committed to initiatives that are aimed at strengthening families and children's social, emotional, and behavioral health. So there's a little bit about me, as I'll show you in just a little while. I have also asked you to tell me a little bit about yourself on Blackboard through a Getting to Know You survey. So I'll share with you how to go about doing that in just a little bit. So why take a course on policy and ethics for children and families? Well, my main goal for all of you in this course is to help you to become champions for children, to help you to get a better understanding of the types of policies and programs that we know can improve the odds for America's kids. We're going to focus on advocacy in this course, and we're also going to focus on the whole child. With that in mind, many of you are familiar with what we call an ecological perspective, and this is how we will approach not only our view of the child, but also our view of programs and policies. We do this because we believe that children don't come in pieces. Rather, we approach it as a whole child. So we'll look at policies and programs that affect not only the child, but their family, their peers, their educational environment, and their community, which extends to the political environment. We really start from the belief that all children deserve an opportunity to live free of poverty, to have a healthy start, a quality early childhood educational experience, a level education playing field, and safe families and communities that are free from violence. So I want to now talk about some of the various issues that we will be exploring in this class. This is not extensive, but these are some of the major issues that we'll be talking about. One of the issues is child poverty. We are going to work to understand the existing statistics on child poverty, and to really think about how we can help all children to reach their potential by ending poverty as much as possible. We're at our highest point in child poverty that we've been at in 20 years, and that is that approximately 21% of children, or 1 in 5, live in poverty. So if you're in a classroom environment, you're teaching, you can anticipate that at least 1 out of every 5 of your children is experiencing poverty. And of course, this is more so in certain areas than others. There are certain geographic areas than others. We are also going to work to learn about child health. And this is actually one area that we've seen improvements in over the last 15 years. At present, about 95% of children have health insurance, and they are approximately twice as likely to be covered by government health insurance as they were approximately 25 years ago. However, there's still a gap between Hispanic and non-Hispanic white children, although that's shrinking, but there's also a gap between documented and undocumented families in terms of their coverage. And so we are going to work to ensure that all children have access to physical and mental health coverage. We will also take a look at early childhood development. We believe that all children have a right to high quality early childhood education because we know that this sets them up for success in school and in life. And yet the statistics show that a lot of children are prohibited from participating in early childhood programs, at least ones that we know are high quality. And in fact, only 5% of eligible infants and toddlers participated in the nationally funded Early Head Start program. And only 32% of 4-year-olds are enrolled in state-funded preschool programs like Head Start. And for those of you who have children or know someone who has children and they've sought out center-based care, you've probably heard that it's very, very expensive. In fact, for infants, it exceeds the cost of public college tuition in 31 states. And so our goal is to help provide more access to children who want and need that early childhood education. We are going to take a look at the issue of adolescent drug abuse. This is particularly a big issue now in relation to the opioid crisis. We know that a lot of teens use drugs because they have an overwhelming number of ACEs or risk factors, and that they use this as a coping mechanism. And we know that the rate of drug use is still alarmingly high. Young people aged 12 to 20 drink approximately 11% of all alcohol that's consumed in the U.S. 10% of A-level students smoke weed compared to 48% of D and F students. So we know that there's a correlation between the use of marijuana and performance in school. And the average age of heroin addicts in treatment is 23, which is quite young. So we really want to think about policies and programs that will help to prevent adolescents from entering into a trajectory of using drugs. We are going to be talking about child welfare in this class. We want to make sure that we provide opportunities for every child to have a safe start in a permanent and nurturing family and community, and we want to prevent as much as possible child abuse and neglect. And we know that it continues to be rampant. Approximately 700,000 children are reported as abused and neglected each year, and this is, of course, only those that are reported, which we think is much smaller than the actual number. The highest victimization rate for child abuse and neglect are babies, children ages birth to 2, and so that's an area where we really need to focus our attention. So we'll look at not only prevention of abuse and neglect, but we'll also look at what happens to children once they are removed from their homes in terms of providing quality care for children who need foster care or who need to be transitioned into kin or adoptive families. We will also look at the issue of educational equity. The main goal is that we want to eliminate discriminatory education policies and practices. And this is a big area of my own research, and so we'll spend a significant amount of time working on this through our advocacy project, and I'll tell you more about that later. In specific, we're going to address the school to prison pipeline and That's basically a trend where children are funneled from the public schools and into the juvenile criminal justice systems. And they do this by discriminatory discipline policies that are fairly punitive, such as expulsion and suspension for a range of behaviors that could be better addressed through interventions. And so, to add concern to this issue is that many of the children who are penalized in the school system have learning disabilities or a range of risk factors, including poverty, abuse, or neglect, and who would greatly benefit from additional services. Instead, they tend to be isolated, punished, and pushed out. And so we wanted to really challenge zero tolerance policies that criminalize minor infractions, and we're going to talk about a number of efforts to do that, to bring in more multi-tiered systems of support into schools rather than police presence. Related to that is the area of youth justice. We want to really work in this class to better understand the issues related to the juvenile justice system. The goal, we believe, is the rehabilitative prevention and treatment for children who come into contact rather than punishment. And many of these children that are in the system are children of color who have historically been disproportionately impacted. The system is harsh. Approximately 250,000 youth every year are tried, sentenced, or incarcerated as adults. And we know that once they are incarcerated as adults, that it becomes very difficult to exit out of that system. And we also know that incarcerated youth have an increased risk of physical abuse, sexual assault, and suicide. And so it's not a rehabilitative environment for them at present. And then finally, we are going to talk in this class about an issue that is particularly relevant at the time if we look at the whole global environment, not just the United States. But there are mass traumas going on. There are disasters, terrorism, there's war, and these have unique impacts on children. These range all the way from school shootings to natural disasters such as Hurricane Katrina, to terrorism or war such as what's happening in Syria. And we know that the impacts on children are very severe and that how we respond to them are critical factors in their recovery. So we're going to talk about policies and programs that can support these kids. So now that we've talked a lot about the issues, I want to help us to frame how we will approach the solutions for this course. So we're going to borrow a model from public health that has been very successful in understanding and preventing problems, and that is a risk and resilience perspective. And so as we go through this course, when we're designing or selecting interventions or policies that we think could be positive solutions to these problems, we want to consider both the presence of risk factors and the presence of protective factors. And together, these combine to create a concept known as resilience. And resilience is the ability to overcome adverse situations and to function normatively even in the face of risks. We can't take away all the risks, but we can address them, we can minimize them as much as possible, and we can also increase specific protective factors that we know will balance the scale in favor of helping children to be more resilient. So as we go through each of these issues, we'll talk about both risk factors and protective factors. I want to share with you a really promising, successful example of an approach to addressing all of these issues in a very holistic way. It's called the Harlem Children's Zone. I've put up a short video about it on Blackboard, but what I think is so neat about it is every issue that we've talked about today is addressed under the Harlem Children's Zone approach. And essentially, it's Jeffrey Canada's work. He had this vision of taking this community, which is defined by, this very specific geographical boundary, was suffering from a tremendous number of risk factors, and he created basically all of these different programs that complemented and built upon one another. So using that ecological perspective, all the way from prenatal care and health care to early childhood education, to parent training, to rigorous academic and educational opportunities for children, access to health care. And in sum, Harlem Children's Zone has now been in operation for a couple of decades, and about 98% of the graduates from the Harlem Children's Zone, who again had many risk factors previously, about 98% of these kids are going to college. And so it's extremely promising model, and we're going to take a look at that here and there as we go through this class to learn more about what makes it so successful. So now I want to show you our Blackboard so that I can review the course structure and schedule. So I'm going to switch over. Hello everyone, welcome to our course Blackboard website. I would like to take you through how to navigate our course weekly modules, as well as to get information about the course syllabus and schedule, and to submit your assignments. So let's begin with the announcements. This is the page where you will begin. You'll see that each week I'll post an introduction to our new module. Every week there'll be a new module. They'll open in the morning on Monday and they'll close at midnight on Sundays. And so you'll have exactly a week to complete each module. So once you've read the announcement for that week that gives you instructions on what to do, then you'll go ahead and head over to the module section. And then you'll click on the module where we are. So this week we're on Module 1. You'll find that there's a brief introduction as well as what we will be doing in that module. So for example, this week I give an overview of what the course is, and then you'll find in here an introduction, an agenda, an introduction video, which is what you're watching, what your required reading is, additional web resources for extended learning, and your Module 1 assignment. All of your module assignments will be embedded within the module itself. So let's go ahead and click on the module. Once you're in the module, you'll be able to see that there's the introduction, the agenda, and let me just pause at the agenda. The agenda really tells you step by step what it is that you need to do for that week. So for example, this week I'm asking that you review the syllabus, that you buy or borrow your book for your book review assignment, that you watch this video, that you browse the extended learning resources that I've provided, and that you complete the Getting to Know You survey. That is your assignment this week. That you attend my office hours if you have questions, or that you post to the question and answer discussion area, or email me if you have questions. So one of the very first things that you want to do, and one of the last things that you want to do, is go through the agenda to make sure you understand the expectations. It's kind of a checklist, so to speak. Here's where you'll click to watch the introduction video that you're watching. I'll also post the lecture slides here, so you can click on them and keep them if you'd like. If I talk about examples or websites in the lecture directly, then I'll post it here. So here's a brief 4-minute video on a program that I discussed in today's lecture called the Harlem Children's Zone. You'll want to go ahead and buy your textbook for this class if you haven't already. We are using the 3rd edition of Social Policy for Children and Families, a Risk and Resilience Perspective by Jensen and Frazier. In addition, you have a book review assignment in this class, which you can read more about both on your syllabus and under the book review assignment tab. And so I want you to go ahead and get your book because, of course, you have to read the book before you write the review, and that can take some time. The book review assignment is due on October 28th. And so if you get it now, that will give you time to read it carefully and to write your review. I've provided some book options for you. I'm open to book ideas outside of this as well. You can just email me to let me know what you have in mind, and I'll let you know if that will work. Whatever you decide on, it should relate to the topic of child and family policy or ethics. And down here you'll see that I've provided some additional resources. These are web links for you to explore to learn more about issues. So for example, if you're not sure what kind of issue you want to look at with your book review, you might go to 0 to 3 or the Children's Defense Fund and read more about, child poverty or juvenile justice or substance abuse to get a sense of what it is that you might be interested in, and then you can go back and order your book. So these are just good websites for you to have access to as we go throughout this course. And then lastly, this is your assignment for this week. As always, assignments are due on Sunday by 11:59 p.m. And to complete it, you just simply click on it. It will take you to a brief Google Doc survey, and you can just quickly fill out this form and submit it when you're done. Okay, so that's what every module is going to really look like. They're all going to be similar. I'll be posting more videos as we go through of myself, particularly as I conduct some interviews with advocates and experts in the field, so that you can get a sense of the folks that are out there doing this work, and hopefully hearing from them directly will be both informative but also inspiring for you. So our videos are going to vary as we go through. Now, I've asked you for this week to also review the syllabus. You can find it by clicking on the syllabus tab. You can download the syllabus here in PDF form, and I've also embedded it into your Blackboard as well, so you can just do a quick scroll through. So all the information that you need to know is here, including all of your assignments. As you'll read, there are 5 total assignments for this course. The Getting to Know You survey that's due this week is your first one. You'll also have weekly reading quizzes. You'll have 10 of them total. You'll be able to drop your lowest 2. You don't have one this week, by the way. We won't start that till next week. You'll have your book review, as I mentioned earlier. And then we'll also be doing an advocacy project together. I have a whole link that's connected to that, and I'll be doing a video about that shortly. And then we'll have a final comprehensive exam, mostly taken from our weekly quizzes, as well as some extra content from our lectures and readings. So again, you can scroll through the syllabus to get information about the assignments in specific. You can also see the tentative calendar. On the calendar, you'll notice that I organize it by weeks. Weeks are the same thing as modules. I give you the topic, the readings that are due for that week. So for example, next week you're to read chapter 1 in our book, and then what's due by Sunday at 11:59 p.m. So for example, this week it's the Getting to Know You survey. And for next week it is the weekly reading quiz number 1. I'm pausing because I think there might be an issue here with my date. I believe it's 8/31, but I might have made a mistake. So I'll correct that in the syllabus. Alright, so if we go back to our tabs here, you can also just do a quick access of the schedule by clicking on the link here. Now to reach me, to get in touch with me, email is the best way. You can also come see me in my office. I recommend making an appointment. I'm often out of the office, and so it's better to let me know if you're going to be there. I do have office hours every Monday from 2 to 4, both in person and virtually. In addition, I'm happy to make appointments. If we click on the assignment tab, you can see that I give a summary view of your assignments, as well as more extensive information about 2 of your assignments, your book review assignment and your group advocacy project. Now, I'll be going into more depth on your group advocacy project next week, and I'll be posting a video about it. For now, you're welcome to go and read a little bit about it, and I'll provide you more information later. For the book review assignment, you can simply click on it, read through it. I've provided 2 samples of book reviews, as well as the grading rubric and the place where you can submit it. If you would like to submit it early, you are more than welcome to do that. Okay, I'll be talking about advocacy committees next week when I talk about our advocacy project. That's what this is related to. And then we have a discussion forum that's set up as well. This is a place where you can post your questions for the class. I check it about every 48 hours and I'll respond. So if you have general questions that you think the whole class could benefit from, then please feel free to post it and I'll respond to it. In addition, I'll occasionally post discussion forums around issues that might come up, just to get your thoughts and feedback and to make the class a little bit more interactive. Okay, so that is a summary of our course Blackboard. Of course, if you have questions, you know how to reach me, and please do feel free to take advantage of those office hours if you would like to meet me and talk to me in person. I know being in an online class can be challenging, but I do want you to know that I'm available and wanting all of you to be successful in this course, and I'm here to help in any way that I can. So thank you all, and I look forward to having a great semester with you.